Hey girls, Tiffany Dawn here, and welcome back for another week of Girl Talk right before Christmas. Are any of you as excited as I am? I'm like pumped for Christmas. I actually never used to like Christmas. I used to get really sad every Christmas time, Christmas and spring, because for some reason the smell of spring makes me sad. I don't know why. But I woke up yesterday like in such a good mood and so happy because I realized Christmas is almost here and I cannot wait. But today, in this last week before Christmas, I want to share with you something that God has been teaching me that has been setting my heart free in a lot of ways. I don't know about you, but I've spent a lot of my life comparing myself to other people. And there were some surface things like I wish I was as pretty as she was, or I wish I was as talented as she was, but a lot of it was spiritual too. Like, I wish I loved God like she does, or seeing one of my friends up on stage leading worship, like, why can't I be as good at that as she is? Why can't I serve God the way that she serves him? And just thinking that the way I love God or the way I serve God isn't as good as how somebody else does. A few years ago, God started really speaking to my heart on this subject through Luke chapter 21, where Jesus and his disciples are just hanging out by the temple treasury where people are putting in their offerings. So picture the tithe bucket, and there's all these super rich people just putting in like thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars, like $100 bills, just wadding them out, putting it in. Everyone's like super impressed by how much they are giving to God because they are obviously so spiritual and love Jesus. You know. So then this poor little widow comes up who's got almost nothing in the world, and she puts in like 25 cents. And she puts it in, and Jesus looks at her and he says to his friends, "This lady put in more than anybody else." And they're like, "Jesus, did you actually see what happened there? Because she put in a quarter. These guys put in like $100 bill." But this is what Jesus says to them. In Luke 21 verse 3, he says, "Truly I say to you that this poor widow has put in more than all. For all these out of their abundance have put in offerings for God, but she out of her poverty has put in all that she has." And God started showing me that he's not asking me to give what that person has or to love him like that person loves him. All he asks for is all that I have. And we might think that that's not enough, but it is, because somehow in his amazing, awesome hugeness, he takes that and he multiplies that. And this was the second part that God started teaching me. It was from 1 Kings 17. And in this story, the prophet Elijah, way back in the day in Israel, he's walking around, there's this famine in the land, like basically there's nothing to eat, nothing to drink, just everything's dried up. And he goes up to this widow's house, again a widow, and he asks her, "Could you bring me a drink and some bread?" And she's like, "Sir, like I have nothing. I am about to go make our last meal, and then my son and I are going to die because this is the last meal we have to eat." And he says to her, "Go and make dinner for myself and you guys, and I promise that you will have enough food." So she does it. She trusts him. She goes, she gives all that she has. And what do you know? As the famine goes on, there's always oil left in her jar. There's always flour left in her jar, and they never go hungry. And I think that that's how God works in our hearts too. As we say, "God, I'll give you all that I have." It might not seem like as much as that person or as cool as that person, but whatever I have, I will give you. Then he's gonna take that and he's gonna multiply it. So say for example that you're like, I don't really have much, but what I do have is I love to cook. So I'll give you that, God. And so you cook for some people, and then you're like, I kind of like having people over too. So you have people over for dinner, and then you start regular dinner parties, and you start inviting different people, and people feel comfortable at your house, and they love talking with you, and next thing you know, these people are growing in Jesus through these dinners with the food that you've cooked. And it's like all you gave was what you had, but God took that and he multiplied that beyond what you could have imagined and used it for his purposes. My husband and I go to a liturgical church, and in one of the common prayers, it says, "All things come from you, O Lord, and of your own have we given you." And I think that's so profound. Like everything we give to God came from him to start with. So say that this is like your heart. You're like, "God, I don't have much. I've got like this much water, but look at everybody else. Like this is nothing." He's like, "Well, just give me what you have." You give it to him, and next thing you know, you've got even more water in there. "Wow, this is pretty cool, God. Like I've got this much now." "Well, give me all you have." As you keep giving God all you have, the next thing you know is you start overflowing. It's like whoa, my top just closed. You have so much love that it's spilling over and it's multiplying, and it's all over my carpet. That was not meant to happen. It's supposed to go in the bucket by my feet, but it didn't. And it just spills over onto everybody you meet. So the next time you start to think, God, I wish I could love you like she does, instead remember, like, all he asks for is all that you have. And then he will do the miracle of increasing what you have. So I hope that can really encourage you, and I hope that you have an amazing Christmas this weekend. On Christmas Day, my family always goes to see a movie, so Star Wars this year, and then we go to get Chinese food for dinner. You know, we like to just mix it up and spice it up for the holidays, so Mexican on Thanksgiving and Chinese on Christmas, and 1 year ahead, Indian food on Easter, so just gotta keep it interesting. So comment below what you're doing for Christmas. I can't wait to read and hear what your exciting adventures will be, and I can't wait to see you next week for our final coffee date Tuesday Girl Talk thing of 2016, and you won't want to miss it. Bye.